Hi, I'm Melinda, and I wanted to just go over my brushes with you and show you the different kinds of hairs and blends that you can get. Sorry, I have a squeaky chair. This is something I've done recently. It's a kind of a loose style of watercolor. I do a lot of birds in this loose style, and I really like it a lot. Um, and I use mostly round brushes or mops when I do my work. I'm going to go over my brushes, starting from the least expensive to the most expensive, and why that would be good for you or not good, depending on your style. These are brushes that I do not use. They're inexpensive. This is the little Cornell. I think it came probably with a little kit or something, but it's really not good. It doesn't come to a point. It's kind of frayed and hair's coming out, and this is just wouldn't produce the best quality, and it's peeling and everything. So I wouldn't use a brush like this if you want to do good work. These are synthetic brushes that really, I think this long-handled one is really for like acrylics, but I use these for lifting. See, this one's a little stiffer. This one's stiff, but it still is a little bit pliable, so it is really good for gently lifting small areas if I want to lift any watercolor off the paper and it doesn't damage the paper. So that's what I use those for. This is a travel brush, and I use it a lot. I prefer it to even the nicer travel brushes. It's really easy. You fill it with water, so you don't have to take your water cup with you when you go out to paint. Like if it's in a sketchbook or a small watercolor, I really like these. And see, I just used it a minute ago. You just kind of squeeze the water, load the paint, and load a little paint on here, and then paint with it. I'm painting with my left hand, which I'm not left-handed, but you can see it works really nice. You squeeze it for a little more water, so it's not super controllable, but not bad. I don't mind these when I'm out. Work kind of nice. These are my flats. I mostly use these for washes. I don't do a lot of work where I use flats, but they're great for if you're doing something straight like a building, or sometimes I do a style where it's kind of blocky and I'll use them. This one I picked up at Hobby Lobby, and it's a synthetic. It works really good for large washes, like if I want to do like a large background, or start a painting off with a large color wash, then this one works really nice. Well, that's those. These are my round synthetics, and I have more of these because they're a little less expensive to purchase, but they still work pretty good. This one is my favorite. You see how good and pointy that is. It's a Princeton Elite, and though it's synthetic, it works really nicely. It keeps water in here really good, and it comes to a good point. So I use this one a lot. This one is I think it's a Princeton. Let's see, a 16. It's really hard to read. It's a Princeton, and I like it. Okay, I like the look of it the most. It's really pretty. It comes to an okay point when it's wet. But not as good a point as others. But when I have a large area, and I don't mind it not holding a lot of water, it's okay. These are my smaller rounds, and I use these a lot as well. This one I really like. This is Skoda. It comes to a great point for a little more detail, and though it's synthetic, it works really nicely. I like it. I actually used this Cosmetop Spin to create this painting, and it's the only one I used. Even though there's small detail, it comes to a great point, and I enjoy it. I enjoy this. It's my newer one, so that's why it's my most favorite right now. But it's a Cosmetop Spin, and I like that it's flat, but also comes to a point. I like it a lot. I don't know what you call that shape, but it's not a round, but I like it. I like it. All right, these are my, they're a synthetic squirrel. Squirrel hair works great for, there's the most expensive is sable. The next is squirrel hair, but this is a synthetic, and these are called mops, and they hold a good amount of water, and they come to a really good point. So if you're working on something and you want some fine detail, but you want to just not have to keep going back to your paint, these are really nice. They one thing that these are not good for is splatters, because it holds onto the water so well that it's really hard to splatter. Like this kind of work here, these splatters are really hard to do with these mops because they hold the water so much. This one's a round, but it's the same company, and I like those. I use them, but like I said, for this kind of work for splattering, they hold onto the water too much. These are what most watercolorists use. They love these. A lot of them, if you go on YouTube and look at their supplies, that all of them will have one of these. They're they're called Silver Black Velvets, and they are a blend of synthetic and black squirrel hair. So since they're a blend, they still have the good properties of like a natural hair, but they hold on. They've got good bounce. They have great points. So I use this one especially for a lot of small detail. I really like them. This one's called a cat tongue. It's wide at the bottom, but it comes to a really nice point. So it has a lot of variation. If you're wanting to just use one brush, do some big work and some small detail, these work really good. I'll do a video later of how these work, with actual watercolor. These are all natural, pure squirrel hair. This one is a Da Vinci. It's a mop, and it doesn't look like it has a point because it's not wet right now. It's dry. So, but you can see how natural squirrel hair feels and looks, and how different that is from a synthetic. Let me find one that's dry. You can see how snappy that is, the synthetic one, which may work good for some people's art. But see how soft. It's like petting a squirrel. Anyway, they work great. They hold a lot of water, and they're fun to use. And they actually work okay for splatters for me. This one, it's not my favorite. It's a company called Rosemary & Co. I know they make good brushes because a lot of artists use them, but this is my only one from them, and I don't really like it. It's a travel brush, so you're supposed to be able to take it off and cap it with this, but I've never been able to do it without damaging the hair. And I don't know if that's what happened to it, but I can't get it to a good point. It's all like splayed out, and I don't know. It's just not my favorite. I don't use it much, and I don't cap it. I usually use it like a normal brush, where it's all put together and, like this. But I don't use it that much. And these are my only two actual Kolinsky sable brushes. They are the most used by professional watercolorists. Kolinsky sable is like the best. That's why my only two are tiny, because they're expensive. I am getting a bigger one later, But these are my first two, and I suggest that when you're starting out, get some small Kolinsky sable brushes just to see how they work. And they're so good for detail. This one is awesome. See how pointy that is? And it keeps the point, and it holds a lot of water. So when you're wanting to do a lot of detail and you want the water to last a long time, oh man, these are so good. This one is a Raphael Kolinsky, and it's a number 3, so it's a smaller one, but I love it. It's a really awesome brush. And this number 5 is a Dynasty Fine Kolinsky, and it's a red sable, I think, but I love it, love it, love it. It's like one of the first brushes that I ever bought when I started watercolor, because I wanted to see what a real Kolinsky felt like compared to the synthetic ones. I think it was about $20. I think I got it at Sam Flax here in Orlando, and it comes to a nice point. Don't even have to like rub it into a point. You just kind of flick it, and look, it's so nice. I really like it. But I think like for the real fine work, I really like this Raphael, and I want to get another of these, only bigger, and I love it. It's a nice brush. So that is it. That's my brushes. That's what I use. And like I said, I'll do a video of how I use them, and what each one is the best for each style. When I do like really fine detailed work, these natural hair brushes are so good and perfect for those. For super loose styles, I really like the synthetics, especially the blends, but the synthetics are awesome for that kind of work. Of course, the loose styles are good with these as well. It just depends. It just depends on my mood and what kind of style I want to create that day. So anyway, hope this helps. Thanks a lot.